This is the beer party. A blue moon shone through the banks of clouds, and the stars were like double diamonds in the east above the Doom Bar where the beer party was taking place. The abbot, Chima Trappist, Northern monk, and the St. Bernardo monk were congregating in a corner of the courtyard, keeping themselves to themselves. They were supposed to be a party 7, but here they were, a measly party 4. Have you sampled the bishop's finger yet? Asked the abbot of his learned friend. Ooh, ouch, said Chima. What is it with you progressives? Sheepishly, St. Bernardo put his hand up. I have, he whispered. Good heavens, they claimed, as one. How was that? A penetrating examination of my true beliefs. Well, I'm expecting a summons myself from that old speckled hen. His secretary, said the Northern monk. She is exactly that. Old peculiar, a right hobgoblin, a real old growl, whispered St. Bernardo. She does a proper job, though, for the bishop. She's got them at his becks and call. I was thinking of you. Sorry. She's got them at his becks and call, said Chima. Yeah, but she fosters an atmosphere of fear. Just then, they spotted a fearsome quartet. Bloody hell, who invited the Mexican cartel then? They all pined together as Desperados, San Miguel, El Bandito and Corona came into view. They sat down, bit the tops off their beer bottles, and together with bits of tortilla chips, grolshed them into a nearby bin with a loud clang. Some attendees got delirium tremens and thought shots had been fired and ducked for cover. Wimps, said the abbot, retreating strategically behind Chima. What a bunch of pirates, said Northern monk. Meantime, the naval contingent turned round from across the courtyard. They were on shore leave from the shipyard, especially Adnam's ghost ship, the supposed London Pride trawler. A rugby ex-military type sat alone by the table. The waiter was saying, will Carling do, or would you tackle something else? We haven't got a Diana, but we have another blonde, Hazy Jane, or maybe Estrella from Havisham, or her drunken cousin, Stella Artois. She's been around a long time, but apparently she's very satisfying. Course, that would be great, said the lonely man. St. Bernardo stated, he used to be a good one, a wingman. He could take off like a Spitfire. I heard he got binned and sent off as a black sheep. Apparently he was always in Beavertown, sniffing about like a badger in Holt's. Bud's a lot wiser than he used to be, in fairness, he said, sympathised Chima. They all turned to stare at him as if fondly remembering something. Meantime, Timothy Taylor and Sam Smith were huddled deep in conversation, bemoaning the calibre of beer. They were bitter that no one had the same custom. It seemed that the new brewers and brands were taking over had just left Skoll. I'm still not happy about it, Mum Timothy. Maybe we really need to think of a special brew. Back in the corner, the 4 monks were still discussing the merits of the bishop's finger. Anyway, moving on, said Chima. Has anyone tasted Virgil's root? Northern monk nearly choked on his beer. Just then, there was a silence as the mysterious Cranbourne poacher strode steadily and silently into the courtyard. En route, his elbow just happened to bump the head of El Bandido, but he strode on stoutly. The Mexican quartet jumped up, shouting after him, and drew their empties. Hey, gringo, you brewdog, we'll send you to Camden Hells, and there you play your harp, they shouted. Poacher walked on to an empty table where he summoned a waiter. What ails thee? Shouted Poacher, calling to the spitting Mexicans. Meanwhile, everyone was scrambling for cover. Before the quartet could move, he sprang like a cobra and simultaneously whipping his Moretti .725 and his German lager from his holsters, fired off a tremendous volley at the 4 cervezas. They tumbled backwards about their chairs and donkeys, and their sombreros rolled across the floor. That was close, said St. Bernardo. Glad I don't have to clean up. Now, where were we? Chima said, you were telling us you sampled the bishop's finger. Take us through that again. Thank you very much. much.